All right, y'all, it's 3 o'clock. So I just wanted to say thank you all so much for joining. My name is Vanessa Pineda. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I'm the outreach manager for a program called Breaking Down Barriers here at Jewish Family Service. And today we're just hoping that these conversations will kind of use our collective knowledge to support Daca recipients and also the community at large. I wanted to give like a brief little shout out to so many of our amazing sponsors. You know, we've got folks all the way from higher education, local nonprofits, and so many more. So please feel free to check out all the amazing and good work that they're doing. And then also just to share that we do have interpretive services available in Spanish and ASL here today. So our Spanish interpreters are Vanna and Rebecca and also Brian. So all these folks are coming to us from San Diego State University as students. And Vanna's gonna provide some additional instructions right now. Vanna, are you available? Also, I'll just call out anybody else on her team if they want to share some additional instructions as it relates to audio access for interpretation.
Hi, my name is Brian Perez. I believe Dania is not able to communicate right now because she's in the interpreter's room. So in her behalf, I'm gonna bring up some important points to keep in mind when you need the interpretation service. Real quick, I know we had a slide for that, if you wanna show that. Besides that, if you are connecting in a phone, the instructions might be slightly different. Just because you won't see the same icon. Instead, you'll see a bubble on the screen, the lower part of the screen, where you can select the 2 languages. And if you're connecting from your phone, make sure you select your language and then quit the bubble, the selection menu, in order to hear the language of your preference. And on the computer, it's going to be a little more straightforward. There's an icon representing the interpretation options. It will be the same dynamic. Just select the language of your preference, and you'll be able to hear the language from the interpreter or from the original speaker. Also, you can control the volume, or you can mute the original language so that you can only hear the channel in Spanish. That would be all. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian. We appreciate it. I also want to acknowledge that we do have 2 ASL interpreters for our conversation here today, Brenda and Norma. They'll be visible on the video here. If either of you could wave your hands or just show your presence, that would be beautiful. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right now, so before we really get into the conversation today, I just wanted to respectfully acknowledge the Kumeyaay people. They are native to the region that we now call San Diego, and they've lived and worked in these homelands for over 10,000 years. And I just want to share how grateful I am to live and work in these homelands. So moving on, our webinar today will be recorded, and it's going to be made available on our JFS website for anybody who wasn't able to attend live. You can watch at a later time. Also, we are streaming live right now on YouTube for folks who maybe didn't have the ability to register. So please be on the lookout on our JFS San Diego YouTube channel. And throughout the duration of the entire conversation, we will be having folks monitoring the chat function. So, if there's any time where you have ideas or questions that come up, please feel free to submit them and we'll kind of hold them in a queue. And towards the end of our conversations, our panelists will have time to answer as many questions as possible. So now I'm gonna have our wonderful panelists introduce themselves, their names, their pronouns, their title, and the organization that they work at. Leah, you wanna go first?
Yeah, thank you, Vanessa. Waiting for a cue. Hi, Leah Chavarria. She, her, hers. I am the Director of Immigration Services at Jewish Family Service. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you, Vanessa.
Claudia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Claudia Cuevas. I am a licensed and marriage family therapist. I'm in private practice and do a lot of community work. She, her, hers. And I'm just really happy to have this conversation with everyone today.
Hey, Leticia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Leticia Diaz. I serve as the Director of EOPS and Special Programs at San Diego Mesa College. Thank you so much for inviting us.
And then Cynthia.
Buenas tardes. My name is Cynthia Torres. She, her, hers. I am the Undocumented Resource Area Coordinator at San Diego State University.
Jairo.
Hola everyone, my name is Jairo Castañeda, él, he, him, his. I am the lead attorney for the Higher Education Legal Services program here at Jewish Family Service. Thank you all for being here.
And then last, but obviously not least, Danielle.
A todos, hi everyone. My name is Daniel Alfaro. I am the program manager for the Undocumented Student Services program at UC San Diego, and it is a pleasure to be here with all of you. Pronouns he, him, his.
Awesome, thank you all. So I'm just gonna kind of give, I guess, a little background and some context as to why we're here, since we're imagining there's various different folks coming into this conversation. So in 2012, President Obama issued the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA, an executive order which allowed young undocumented immigrants to remain in the country with a temporary lawful status. And so a person who receives deferred action is considered to be lawfully present and they may apply for work authorization. And deferred action is permitted for renewable periods after 2 years, but it doesn't grant a legal immigration status, nor is it a pathway to citizenship. So since it was first announced on June 15, 2012, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals policy has provided work authorizations as well as temporary relief from deportation to approximately 700,000 undocumented young people across the United States. So the average DACA recipient came to the United States at the age of 7, is now maybe around 25 years old. Folks in this community are obviously likely educated, maybe all the way through elementary school up until high school. Many have earned degrees from US universities. I did want to shout out that JFS has began providing DACA legal services immediately following the creation of the program in 2012, and we've filled more than 1,000 DACA applications for over 700 individuals. So, JFS has been serving DACA for a while and also are continuing to expand the services through our higher education and legal services program. We now provide legal services to students, faculty, staff at 10 higher education campuses across San Diego and in Imperial counties. And so individuals who are eligible for DACA are Americans in virtually every single way, except for on paper. And so to talk about this conversation a little bit further, I wanted to open up the space to Leah, our Director of Immigration. And she's going to talk about the Supreme Court decision and how it's impacted DACA recipients and their families. So Leah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Vanessa. It took me a minute to unmute myself. Barring any technical difficulties, here we go. So
all right.
I just want to give you all a little context about where I come from. It helps you know a little bit about my ability to understand the Supreme Court decision. So as I mentioned, I'm the Director of Immigration Services for JFS. I help to supervise a team of 32 people who believe in immigrant justice and who use their skills to help immigrants protect themselves from this administration's anti-immigrant policies. So I've worked solely in immigration law since 2012. I've been barred as an attorney for 6 years, and I spent 5 years working in private practice before coming over to nonprofit work, and I worked in removal defense and appeals. So I submitted a lot of initial DACA applications, a lot of renewal applications, and a lot of advanced parole applications over my career. So I know a lot about this subject. All right, so I'm here just to tell you about the decision and what it means and what it does not mean. So Chief Justice Roberts swung the decision by deciding with the 4 liberal justices to find, in short, that there was a procedural error in the way in which the Department of Homeland Security, so that's the agency that implements our immigration laws. So I'll refer to them as DHS as I'm talking. So the way that DHS rescinded the DACA program in 2017. So Vanessa told us the program started in 2012, 2017, this administration sought to rescind the program, saying that it was their right to be able to do so. So no one disagrees that this administration can cancel the program if they want to. All advocates who went forward on these cases said, yes, it's within the president's authority to rescind a program that is like this. However, the difference is the way in which the program is rescinded has to follow legal procedure. And this decision says that this administration did not follow legal procedure in the way that it rescinded the program in 2017. So, you hear a lot about lawyers and how sneaky we are and how we find a way to win a case because of a procedural error. This is exactly what has happened in this decision. So I want you to hear that a failure in legal procedure can sometimes be fixed. So the important thing for you all to walk away with today is to know that, yes, this is a big win. This is great news that we still can have the DACA program, that it was rescinded incorrectly. However, the procedural error could be fixed by DHS if they sought to fix it. And most advocates believe that this administration will seek to fix the procedural error in the way that the rescission happened. So before moving on to what that means in your daily life, I just wanted to mention a couple more things about the decision. So Justice Sotomayor, the first and only Hispanic female justice to sit on the Supreme Court, issued a separate opinion on an issue that was raised but dismissed by the majority decision. So she issued a separate decision on the issue of discrimination in the actions of the administration to cancel the DACA program. So she alone is of the opinion of the Supreme Court. I know that many of us agree with her. She alone is of the opinion that the equal protection argument should have been remanded for more fact gathering, finding that there was still potential for this administration to have rescinded the program for discrimination. But that argument now can no longer go forward under these cases, because the main court did not find that to be an issue. They dismissed the equal protection clause. So this decision only stands for the rescission of the program being a procedural error. So what does that decision mean for those who are eligible for DACA? And when I say eligible for DACA, I mean anyone who has filed for DACA in the past or is currently eligible to file under the 2012 administration's order implementing the program. So at this moment, USCIS is still accepting DACA renewal applications. There's no change there. So we've known for some time that there were injunctions in place that were protecting DACA renewal applications. So DACA renewal applications should receive no issue in continuing to file DACA renewal applications. So I know that many of you felt a need to rush file DACA renewal applications in advance of this decision. Some of you filing your renewal applications as much as a year and a half in advance because you were afraid of this application. So those of you who have DACA and who refiled quickly or early because of this impending decision, I want you to know that there should no longer be a need to rush file your application so early. The reason is because the way that the decision is written, for DHS to correct their procedural error, they must do it in a way that is fair, right? So Justice Roberts namely said the defects in DHS's rescission in 2017 was that it did not clearly indicate that it considered what to do about the hardship to those who have DACA, and what it might have considered more accommodating in termination dates. So it should have considered more accommodation for those who already have DACA. That's what the rescission should include now. So if there's another rescission, DHS has to take into consideration people who have DACA and are in academic programs, people who have DACA and are receiving medical treatment, people who have DACA who are in military service. So this is all very important. It means that if a rescission does happen again, which advocates do believe it is very likely, that this administration must consider more protections and have a lengthier time in which the termination happens. So that means, in most everyone's legal opinion, that your DACA renewal does not need to be filed, so far in advance that you can wait until that about 6-month time frame to renew. All right, now for those who have not previously filed a DACA application or renewal, the big question is now, can you file if you qualify? So all legal advocates, pretty much all, agree that you should be able to file. The decision means we revert back to 2017 before the rescission of the program. But the question is, will USCIS accept applications? And that's something no one can answer for you right now, because I can tell you USCIS could not have received an application already today based on the decision that was just issued last Thursday. I mean, maybe if there was a rush filing, but we just won't have the answer if they're rejecting the initial applications just yet. There is no announcement by USCIS regarding whether or not they will accept them or not. But what we do know is the forms already exist. So there should be no time that USCIS has to take to create a form because it already is there. There's another question as to advance parole. So this decision does also mean that advance parole, now that's the provision, the part of the program that allows someone who has DACA to apply for a sort of travel permit to leave the country and then re-enter without being barred re-entry, if you qualify for it. I'm not going to go into how you qualify for it, but advance parole should be available again. However, there's two issues with that. One, will USCIS accept it? And two, if they do accept an advance parole application and approve it, should you leave the country? And the reason why I highlight this is because, as I mentioned earlier, DHS may seek to rescind the program again. So you would not want to find yourself in a situation where you are outside of the country on advance parole and trying to come back in the country, and DHS does not allow you back into the country. So I please advise everyone, please, if you believe that you are eligible for DACA, an initial DACA application, or you believe that you want to file an advance parole application, seek an individualized consultation with a reputable attorney or organization on your case specifically, okay? And then you should not file applications on your own. You should not rely on legal service providers. You should only rely on reputable immigration attorneys who only practice immigration law, or organizations that have a legal practice in immigration law. Okay, I hope I got through all of that in my time. I want to pass the time over to whoever's next, and I'll be around to answer questions.
Thank you so much, Leah. We really appreciate your knowledge and expertise and thoughtful analysis on all of this information. I want to give space for interpreters, Danya, to switch to Rebecca. So I'll create a little bit of time for that. Great. So now moving forward, we're going to be asking our panelists, we're going to open this up a bit more for some questions, just kind of surrounding some of the issues coming up. So Jairo, I'm going to be calling on you. I'm wondering, now that the decision has come out, what are some steps that folks can take if they already have DACA?
Thank you, Vanessa. So there's a few things that we can do for those individuals that have DACA, that have just renewed, but also just generally speaking. I think the first thing is to continue to be engaged, to continue to empower ourselves, educate ourselves, inform ourselves on what's going on, not just with this Supreme Court decision that just came out, but pending litigation. What's going on across the country? What are our different organizations, nonprofits? What's my school doing? What's my community doing? So continue to engage and empower yourself. We often hear knowledge is power, but if we don't do anything with that knowledge after we get it, then we're not using our power effectively. And so I appreciate everyone that's attending this conversation today. Absorb all the information that you're receiving, but don't just keep it to yourself. Share it with others. So that's my first thing. Generally for everyone participating, continue to engage and empower yourself. In regards to those that currently have DACA already and it's just been renewed, that's something for you to take into consideration. Leah just mentioned, if you have DACA right now, but your work permit isn't about to expire within, let's say, the next 6 months, then we believe that we have some more time before potentially the administration does something in regards to that. So again, take a moment to relax a little bit, catch your breath, because I know many of you are doing good advocacy work in the community. But take into consideration your own situation. Should I renew now, or should I wait a little bit more and move forward? And in doing that, we need to, again, the third thing, schedule an appointment. Schedule an appointment with Jewish Family Service, with the Higher Education Legal Services program, if you're a student, staff, or faculty at one of the CSUs or community colleges within the San Diego Imperial Valley region, and have your own consultation with a trusted attorney or a legal service provider that is trusted in the community. So I think that's number 3. You may have DACA already, but you don't know if you qualify for another form of relief. And that's the most important thing, right? Leah mentioned, and we know that DACA is temporary. And so it's just a short term. We've seen it being challenged, and we continue to see it being challenged. So we need to look for other forms of relief. And this is where a trusted legal service provider can help guide you through this process. Because many individuals happen to be eligible for other forms of relief. We just have to tease those out and hence get that legal expertise. The reality is that many of us may not be eligible for other things. And that's just the reality. So we need to be prepared for that as well.
Thank you so much, Jairo. A question did come through regarding some of the content that Leah was talking about. We're just wondering if there's like some type of fact sheet available regarding some of the legal analysis, or if we have resources that maybe we can put on the website at a later time to kind of break down that analysis a bit more.
Yeah, so JFS has the jfssd.org/dreamers website, and there we have a link to our DACA website as well. So you can check that link, and we'll have information there regarding the decision and the analysis. My own personal, what I just gave out there, I haven't put in writing. So we might look at updating something like that on our website soon, but there are lots of links to resources on that webpage as well.
Great. Thank you so, so much. You know, while I have you on, I actually have a question for you, Leah. So if someone would like to apply for DACA for the first time, you know, what are some steps that they can take, you know, right now?
I might actually hand that question over to Heido.
Oh, okay, great.
I will gladly take it over. So the first thing is schedule your appointment. Schedule your appointment with either the Immigration Services Department, as was previously mentioned, or schedule directly with the Higher Education Legal Services Program. And so I will share another link and telephone number. And again, you can find all this information just generally speaking at the JFS website, right? So jfssd.org. And then if you can click on the, I think it's like the services available, you can look at the Higher Education Legal Services and the Immigration Services Department. So make that determination. Do I want a general appointment to be scheduled, or do I potentially fall under the student, staff, or faculty at one of the CSUs or community colleges and would rather go into the Higher Education Legal Services Program? So that would be probably step number one, schedule that appointment and follow up. But in the meantime, you can begin gathering any and all documents that you may have in relation to immigration. Has a family member previously filed something? Talk to mom and dad, talk to aunts and uncles, and see what they've filed and what applications maybe family members have. Maybe there's a receipt notice that they've received in the mail. Begin to gather that information. Have you filed something else? We talk about the temporariness of DACA. Maybe there's another form of relief that you previously searched out and potentially filed something for that. Gather those documents as well. And then, is there criminal history? Is there something in your past that you think may be important to share with the immigration attorney or accredited DOJ representative? Having that information beforehand is really helpful in moving forward in the process. So we can hit the ground running and look at all those documents and begin to put the pieces together to see what's in your past and what could potentially be in your future.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So I can kind of like only imagine some of the various things, you know, community might be going through right now. I'm kind of opening this up to, you know, some panelists. If you could please share some of the emotions that you're hearing in the community based on this decision.
I can go ahead and share. Again, my name is Leticia Diaz. I serve as Director of EOPS and Special Programs at San Diego Mesa College. And some of the things that our students have been sharing is that this is a long-awaited decision, so it definitely instilled a lot of angst. But I think it was a testament that the advocacy and the voices and experiences that were amplified influence change. And it's instilling hope, and it reaffirms the opportunities that are available in our communities and in our higher education system. So there's a lot more students contacting us. So.
Cynthia Torres from San Diego State University. I echo what Leticia said, the feelings that the students are having, along with, there's still some hesitation and confusion exactly what does it mean. So it's very helpful to have forums like this where more information can be combed out and hearing from legal experts. But there is still that kind of hesitation, there's happiness, but at the same time, this is a small battle and an overall victory. Many folks who have been putting themselves over, you know, the years trying to advocate for this have experienced a lot of battle fatigue as well. So our students, our staff, many folks along the journey, many of the folks on the panel and working behind the scenes have also experienced this as well.
Hi, Claudia Cuevas, licensed marriage and family therapist. I just want to say that most of the feelings that I have received from reaching out to people that I'm in contact with or that, you know, I provide services to is going to be very normal. I think one of them said, you know, I was in shock. I heard the decision on Thursday and I was just like kind of numb to it. And then as the day went by, it's like just tears would come down and I didn't understand because I was happy, but I didn't know what it was. And so there's a lot of shock. There's a lot of battle fatigue, like they're saying. And these are all really normal emotions. I mean, been really white knuckling, holding on to, you know, probably what we thought was going to be a very negative decision. And now to kind of be able to breathe a little bit, you know, your body goes into shock. And so you can be having some restlessness. You can feel, you know, a little bit of PTSD symptoms, right? Of anxiety mixed with some type of, you know, not being able to sleep, some insomnia, you're excited. So there's some heart palpitations. So all those things are really normal, as well as not being able to feel like, oh, I should be happy, I should be ecstatic, I should be out there, but I don't, because you know, there's this uncertainty still going on. And so I just want you to know that it's very normal, and we'll talk a little bit more of resources and how to do some self-care as we go by it. But I do want to normalize that what you're feeling is normal, right? So.
And my name is Daniel Alfaro, again, Program Manager for Undocumented Student Services at UC San Diego. One thing that I'll share, something that I've experienced over the years, is the focus that we've had on Daca, but not on those who don't have Daca. And so right now, we're still trying to figure out, okay, who is this program going to be open to, right? Will new applications, will those be accepted? We know renewals will continue to be accepted, but for those who don't have DACA, for those who were never able to apply for the program, don't think that we've forgotten about you. Right now, yes, the focus is on let's identify those who can apply, let's get them into the system, let's get them to submit that application as soon as possible. But know that everyone else, we still have you in our minds. We continue to work towards something that is broader, something that goes beyond just DACA for those who have had it. We want a permanent solution for everyone, not only for the students, for the young, but also for our families. So just know that we also have you in mind. That's something that I continuously remind our students, that you're also important. Right now, the attention is on DACA. We need to figure this out, but the advocacy for a broader program, for broader immigration reform continues.
Thank you all so much for just like normalizing, and also just sharing that, you know, our advocacy and coming together is still happening, even beyond DACA. So thank you all for sharing. I'm also wondering, you know, during this period, what kind of just like supports are out there for folks, you know, on college campuses, or for students, or for their families? You know, what kinds of resources are there available?
I can go ahead and start. So at the community college, there are 9 community colleges in San Diego and in Imperial Valley. The community college has been a long-standing entity of providing direct service to our communities, and it has been many times the catalyst to the start of the higher education system for many of our undocumented AB 540, Dreamer, DACA, and students from mixed status family, for various reasons. One is that all students or any and all community members can find either a class or some sort of workshop or event that they can attend. Many of the students that attend community colleges are there to pursue a certificate, an associate's degree, or transfer to the university, or just for lifelong learning, so taking classes to continue developing their skills. There are a plethora of programs and services available for undocumented AB 540, Dreamer, DACA recipients, and students from mixed status families at the community colleges. And we serve both current and prospective students. So if you're not enrolled yet, but you're interested in learning more about what the community college offers, there are many departments and people that you can meet with to learn more about these opportunities. Services include financial aid opportunities. There's programs such as EOPS and Promise that provide support outside of the classroom. So this means that you have one-on-one counseling, and these are counselors that guide you through academic, personal, or career topics or goals. And there's also opportunities for grants or for money to support you with buying books or purchasing food on campus. There are many student leadership opportunities, whether that is through clubs, organizations, internships, fellowships. There are also scholarship opportunities. But again, there are either programs or spaces on campus that serve undocumented AB 540 Dreamer, Daca, and students from mixed status families. And I make sure to say all of that because our students come with different experiences, and we have the support for all and many students. And at the community colleges, a lot of these spaces are called Dreamer Centers or Dreamer Programs. There might be an alternative name such as, at Mesa College specifically, it's called Borderless Scholars, but other programs are called RICE or Undocumented Student Support Program. So make sure that you ask what type of services are available, whoever you may come across with, but know that there is plenty of support, and we offer classes all year round, and we're ready to serve everyone in our community. So we look forward to meeting.
Thank you so much, Leticia. I was just wondering, could you share again one more time where to find info for community colleges? Just what the website is, or?
Yeah, so there's one website, the California Community College Chancellor's Office, that houses information for all California community colleges in all California community colleges, but specifically for San Diego, I can share the list of colleges on the chat, and you can either Google these and they can appear there, or I can provide you a list too, because I know that you have the list of individuals that registered for this webinar, so I can share that with you as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. Maybe Danielle, could you talk a little bit on this subject as well?
Yeah, yes, definitely. So for us, again, I'm located at UC San Diego, and all of our campuses throughout the state offer very similar services to what we offer on our campus. The first service and the primary service is the legal services to the students. This is a free service. We've actually been able to, in some campuses, help our students cover the cost of their Daca renewal. So the $495 that you would be paying out of pocket is something that we can cover. The one-on-one consultations with the coordinator or assistant coordinator, those tend to focus on troubleshooting issues that the student faces around campus related to financial aid, housing, basic needs. In addition to that, and after that, things start to change depending on the campus. But we offer programs that support students, community building, advocacy, and engagement around campus. We offer financial assistance with different types of scholarships. We have a scholarship that helps our students prepare for graduate school, where we'll cover the cost of a GRE test or the GRE prep program. We'll have professional development grants. So if you want to attend a workshop or a conference, we may be able to support you with that. And lastly, the amenities that we offer through our physical space. So free printing, access to school supplies. Moving forward, going into the fall, we don't know yet how COVID will, and going back to campus is going to look like. We know for sure that some of our programs will be impacted, particularly those that we're having in person. Some of our amenities as well, access to our space will be limited. But when it comes to the immigration services, access to the funding, access to the coordinator, that continues to be in place. And we're looking for additional ways to expand our services. On a regular basis, we're assessing how relevant our services or programs are to our students. And if there's an opportunity for us to make changes, to incorporate a new program, then we'll take on that initiative. And again, this is something that you'll find throughout the UC system, all 9 undergraduate colleges, as well as UCSF, which is a graduate school. You have immigration services, you have a coordinator who's there to listen to you, to guide you. Right now, one of our biggest focus is on helping our students think beyond DACA. How can we get you to prepare for when maybe DACA is not around, or for you to become an entrepreneur and not rely on a DACA permit that you have to renew every 2 years or every year and a half. We want our students to graduate and have those skills in case they face more uncertainty in the future. It's one of the biggest things that we're doing, and part of that program includes offering our students an inclusive fellowship, where whether you have a work permit or not, if you can secure a non-paid internship on campus, we will connect you to a grant, and through that grant, additional financial support. But through that fellowship, you'll have access to professional development opportunities. You'll have access to a mentor. You'll have access to that internship opportunity. So a lot of great work. I'm gonna post the links to the UC support systems at all the campuses, and also the support systems that we have at UC San Diego.
Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. Cynthia, do you have anything else to add to this?
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity. Our Chancellor, Timothy White, has sent out communications to the President showing support and encouragement for our Daca and undocumented population, along with encouraging for immigration reform, which is much needed. All 23 of our campuses are listed on the Chancellor's Office website. So if you're looking to connect with an undocumented resource area or Dreamer Club, or who is organizing on the campus, his website is really good, and I'll be posting that in the chat as well for everybody. At San Diego State, we have, of course, the Undocumented Resource Area, which I am the coordinator for, and we offer workshops in collaboration with our Office of Financial Aid and Counseling and Psychological Services. EOP has always been a strong advocate throughout the CSUs, and that's where many of the Dream Centers were born from. We also have a relationship with the Jewish Family Services for the legal education support. So all of our students, faculty, and staff can feel free to make appointments free for consultation, for DACA renewals, for any questions that they might have as far as if they're eligible for any type of other immigration relief. We also have a great relationship with our counseling and psychological services staff, who have come over and have healing circles, have also worked with our students one-on-one in different times since 2007 and even before. And then we, through a partnership with our associated students in ECRT, which stands for Economic Crisis Response Team, we can facilitate assistance with the $495 to support students so that they can renew their DACA. We work closely with our Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships as well, just like the others, to assist students with regards to their California Dream Act and identifying scholarships as well. And then, of course, I'm available to assist students with any needs that they might have. If I don't know the answer, I can definitely refer, and I have a lot of community agencies that I work with.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. And I appreciate you all sharing. Claudia, I kind of wanted to tap into you on this one, you know, on a larger community level, outside of colleges, outside of the college system. What type of mental health resources are available for the community right now?
So there are several outside of, if you're not a college student or in a university thing. So one of the things I want to point out is that if you are currently employed and you have access to any type of like health insurance, usually your employer has a, what they call an EAP, which is an employee assistance program. And so those usually, depending on what they're available, it could be anywhere from 3 to 12 sessions that you don't have to have a co-payment, or you don't have to do a share of cost. And so you can tap into that. And I highly encourage people to tap into that resource. And the best part is that it not just applies to you, it applies to mostly anybody who you are living with, right? So it can be for your parents, it can be for your little brother, it can be for a significant other that you are inhabiting with. And so it doesn't just apply to you. So that's a way to get some resources out for those who are currently employed and have insurance. But if not, we have, you know, in San Diego, we have the 211, which you can reach out, and 211 it's just like 911, but it's 211 about information. But they go a step further where they do a warm handoff. And so they're just not going to give you a number. They're going to say, okay, what is it you need? And then they will connect you to the different resources that are available in the community. And then they follow through and make sure you at least get some type of appointment, which is really important, right? Because anybody can look up on the internet some type of free resource, but to really have that warm handoff of like you're getting connected is important. There's also, you know, there's a provider that's called latinxtherapy.com. And so they have a provider resource list that you can look into. And if you're going through, you know, anxiety, if you're having some issue with depression, insomnia, you can look up, you know, if you want someone who's Spanish speaker, if you want someone who is LGBTQI, affirming, anything you want, you kind of look it up and it's a resource, and then they will give you a whole list of therapists that you can contact and get those services as well. They also include from no cost to low cost to insurance. So pretty much everything is kind of there for you in the community. I do know that there's other resources. There's like the San Diego Access Crisis Line that people can access. Their number is 1-888-724-7240. And so that's also a really good resource to immediately, when you're just, you know, some people, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and they're not able to sleep and they're kind of spiraling, and they need to have someone that they can just tell them it's going to be okay until they're able to get to where they need to go. And so that's a great resource, that crisis line. There's a therapist or a social worker there, and they're there to listen to you and kind of, you know, make sure you have someone to talk to. So those are great resources that are in the community available for everybody.
Thank you, Claudia. Appreciate it. So I wanted to acknowledge that we are getting multiple kind of community-based questions. But before I ask that one question, I wanted to give space for the interpreters to transition. So Rebecca moving to Brian at this point. Okay. So some community questions. I'll open it up to the group here, but folks are wanting to know, what's the current likelihood that the Trump administration will try again? So Brian, I think you're opened up to the community at large, so we can hear you. I can hear you and interpreting. I'm not sure if you want to mute yourself.
Well, I don't have control over that.
Oh, okay. So you need someone to get you put into a room. Is that right? Okay. So I'll take a little pause and hopefully we can figure out technically what's going on here. Okay, let's see if we try again here. So yes, so we've got a community question that's asking, what is the current likelihood of the Trump administration trying again? And what could it look like? What could that look like? Would it be challenged? Would it go straight to the Supreme Court? How might this impact the upcoming election? This might be a Leah or a Jairo question.
I'll start off and I'll let Jairo fill in if he thinks of something I should have said. So the question is if we believe that the Trump administration will seek to rescind the program again. Yes, we do believe that. There is no way for any of us to, you know, sit here and know for sure, right? So just like right now at this moment, we don't know for sure if we could file an initial Daca application. The decision that was issued on Thursday does indicate that we should be essentially reverting to pre-2017 rescission, but we're not in control of USCIS accepting a decision or accepting an application. So we don't know, just like we don't know what this administration will do. What we do know is that this administration and some of the administrators in charge of DHS issued statements regarding the decision from the Supreme Court, and they were very negative statements, statements that I wouldn't even repeat. They were so negative. So given those statements, we now know that the administration is very unhappy with the decision on Thursday last week that allows this program to continue. So most advocates do believe that this administration will seek to rescind the program again. But I did mention that the way that the Supreme Court issued the decision, the way that Chief Justice Roberts said that the rescission was improper, was a procedural error. So in order for the rescission to happen again, that procedural error must be fixed. And to fix that procedural error, so let's say this administration decides to again rescind the program, which it can, it must fix the procedural error. And to do that, it has to give a very well thought out procedural plan in how the program should be rescinded. And based on the language of that decision, it indicates that there should be adequate time and consideration of all of the hardship that DACA recipients, that current DACA recipients would face if the program is discontinued, and that the initial rescission in 2017 did not do that. It did not consider the benefits that this program has given to those who have relied on the program. So a new rescission must consider that reliance. So you could estimate maybe that would mean a rescission would have to have a 4-year plan so that those who are in college would have the ability to complete their college program with the benefit of DACA. So those who have a medical plan that will take 4 years will be able to complete their medical plan. So the rescission, in reading the Supreme Court's decision, if this administration, if DHS seeks to rescind the program again, it must have a procedure that is adequate. Now, will it? That's another thing. Will they seek to actually correct the procedural error that it had before if they do try to rescind the program again? Perhaps not, and that's where more litigation would happen again. And I have no doubt that another legal challenge would happen, would be brought against another rescission, especially if that rescission does not address the issues that the Supreme Court Justice Roberts indicated in his decision. So I do believe that there is, time for those who want to seek an initial application and file renewals. I believe that you have time to do that before a rescission from this administration would happen, or even depending on what that rescission might say. But I cannot give you any certainty because I cannot tell the future, and I would never work for the administration. So it's important that you seek a legal consultation and talk about this individually with an advocate who can help you understand what your risks are in filing an application. And Vanessa, was there another point that I needed to touch on in the question, or Jairo?
Like would it be challenged? Would it go straight to the Supreme Court? How might this impact the upcoming election?
I don't work in politics, so I'm not going to seek to answer that question.
Anything you'd like to add to that, Jairo?
I would just add again that if the administration decides to take another attempt at rescinding or terminating DACA, just as Leah mentioned, there's going to need to be certain procedures that take place, certain steps that need to be followed through in order for a second go ahead at trying to terminate the program. We don't know if the administration will actually do this, but if it does, we also don't know when that would be. And so we believe that there is time between when that takes place and when, let's say, the termination would actually take effect. similarly, I think, to what happened this previous time in 2017. But just as Leah outlined earlier, more time will likely be needed, just so that the administration kind of goes through what the Supreme Court said and what Chief Justice Roberts said in regards to making sure that individuals that have other pending issues to be taken into consideration, right? Because there is that reliance on it. So I don't think that it's going to be immediately. It will take some time, but at the same time, the administration could issue a memorandum soon. We just don't know when it would take effect necessarily. And so again, that's why I reiterate the fact that it's so important for us to be prepared, to have a plan. I wanted to do a quick shout out to Daniel and UC San Diego. He provided a link to ILRC and a family preparedness packet. And we have that link available already, I believe, on the HELS webpage. Again, jfssd.org/HELS. And we have that link. So it's important for individuals to be prepared, to look at those documents available and come up with a family preparedness plan. We like to think of it in more positive terms. What if we win the lottery and we're going on vacation? Who's going to take care of the kids? Who's going to take care of our pets? Is anyone in our family undergoing certain medical conditions? Who would be able to look out for them? And so being prepared, right? And then continuing to be informed and educated on what's going on with other pending litigation, right? This decision was on the procedure, how it was done. But there's pending litigation on the constitutionality of DACA. And so it's important for us to continue to be engaged and empowered in our community.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So let's see. I don't even know, right, this is a positive result, not a long-lasting solution, kind of just like you said. Congress is really like the only entity who can create a solution for this. So how can we as a community ensure, that documented dreamers get the protection that they deserve?
Great question. More work needs to be done. We need to take it upon ourselves to put in more work, more time and effort, in addition to everything that we've already been doing, whether it's community grassroots organizing, whether it's elected politicians and getting individuals into those key positions of power and leadership. We need to be doing more of that. And it's reaching out to representatives, Congress, and having, again, our allies who are able to vote to do so, and to do so up and down the ticket for progressive individuals that are constantly advocating for not just the documented individuals that were mentioned, but the dreamers generally, and all those that may not fall into those categories. And so we need Congress to take concrete action steps to pass legislation that is progressive and it isn't impacting and pinning communities against each other. So I think that's really important. Having our allies who can vote in smart ways, right? That benefit the community as a whole. I think we also need to reach out to our, again, our white allies who can advocate for communities of color, and to continue to reach out to representatives and others to say that it's not just the Latinx issue in immigration. It's more complicated than that. There are more individuals that are impacted when it comes to immigration, and beginning to connect those dots, right? Where we see social injustice in one arena, we clearly see it in other arenas as well. And so putting those pieces together, I think can help us move forward. I continue to reiterate, schedule your appointments, whether it's through the Higher Education Legal Services, whether it's UC San Diego, whether it's JFS and our immigration services line generally. That's a really important thing that we continue to advocate for and to encourage everyone to do so. And so those are some of the things I think it's important. Again, being prepared, coming up with a family preparedness plan. ILRC, I mentioned again, they have another resource toolkit for individuals to kind of walk through in general, not just for a DACA appointment possibly, but for other forms of relief and what to do in preparation for that consultation. Look at those. There's other organizations that are doing really good work as well as taking actions and being involved in the community. Immigrants Rising has a lot of resources. The LC, Milk, has other great resources on their website. So look out for those in regards to scholarships, in regards to financial aid. Reach out to Leticia, Danielle, Cynthia. Hold elected officials accountable, right? Go into the offices of your community college or your university and say, hey, what are you all doing for us? And in addition to what are you doing for us, how can I continue to be engaged, right? Or I have this great idea for helping entrepreneurs. In addition to the immigration component, how can we, my nonprofit org, help you all? How can my student organization continue to engage? And again, there's a lot of work to do, and it usually falls on our shoulders again, because we're already doing this work, and it's just continuing to do that.
Thank you, Jairo. I also have another question. Maybe Danielle, you can answer this. Do you know of any programs or grants that are available to kind of cover all parts of, maybe application fees or helping with legal fees?
Yes, and I'll say that Cynthia touched on it a little bit with San Diego State having a grant, a resource that covers the cost of DACA renewals. We have the same thing at UC San Diego. We and our program is a bit broad, so it's not just to cover DACA renewals, but if you're going through the citizenship application, the naturalization process, we may be able to help you with those fees. If you're adjusting your status, we may be able to help you with those fees, which sometimes are a little bit more than the $495 that's for the DACA renewal. That is available on a case-by-case basis. It's available until the funding runs out. It is only available to current students, but if you're a student at UC San Diego, reach out to me and we'll talk about whether you are eligible for those sources of funding to cover your DACA renewal or a different application. I'll also say that my experience with the Mexican consulate is that they'll offer that support system on a limited basis as well. So reach out to your local consulate if you're in San Diego, if you're in LA. I know their programs change depending on their location. So just reach out and ask if they have that service. I have a nephew who's in Seattle who I encouraged him to reach out, and he did, and they sent him a check. He didn't have to do the process through them. They literally just sent him a check. So reach out to the consulate. I know at one point the state of California was also funding nonprofit organizations to offer to cover the cost for the students or for individuals in the community. That's something that my colleagues at JFS can speak more about. But in San Diego, at UC San Diego, we do have that grant. And again, if you contact your local consulate, I know the Mexican consulate does that. So I'll pass it on to Cynthia if it sounds like you want to say something else, and maybe Leticia if that opportunity is also available through the community colleges.
Yeah. I know that the Jewish Family Services does have some support for the community, for non-students, as well as the International Rescue Committee, which is also based in San Diego. So I'll put those links in there because I know we want to be able to support everyone, and there's definitely support in the schools. Students have to find these. It's just for the community members, the family members, and so forth who are not in an education system. Definitely, somebody put it on there, thank you. International Rescue Committee can definitely assist with the application itself and the funds.
And at the community college level, there is a lot of support coming from across the campus, different programs from different donors that support students in different needs. And if that need is paying for the DACA fee, that is something that we can explore in supporting. But right now, there is a lot of support at the community college for emergency relief fund or for support for undocumented students that may not have access to different forms of financial aid at the community college level. So I listed all of the different community college Dreamer centers and or undocumented student support services in the chat, and know that we're also available to serve you. So although I may not work at all the community colleges, I can connect you to someone there. We all work together, we're interconnected, and we know someone that can support you and greet you with arms open at the other colleges.
Great, y'all. Thank you so much. I did also want to share that We put the immigration department email and address plus their appointment number in the chat box below. We did have some questions about high school students and what kind of supports are out there for them. So please refer to the chat box for that. And then Cynthia, I had a question for you. So fees for current SDSU students, what of those can be covered? What about for spouses or other individuals in the families? What does that look like?
Unfortunately, our funds are limited to students. For the ECRT to renew the Daca form, for that, for staff or faculty, we encourage them to reach out to Jewish Family Services or to the IRC. Unfortunately, we don't have funding for that. We're looking to create that with donors where they can support all folks who are undocumented, including family members and so forth, because we know that this is a huge issue. So we're looking into some type of grants or donations for that.
Vanessa, can I share about JFS really fast?
Please.
Thank you.
Yes.
So the funding for DACA renewal filing fees, unfortunately, has been exhausted at JFS. We are seeking other resources to be able to pay for the filing fee for DACA renewals. We are also seeking and hopeful that we will have some more funding for paying for the filing fee for initial applications. That way, if you do decide that you want to file your initial application, the funding for the filing fee will be taken care of, and then you have less of a risk in filing that initial application because there won't be a loss of money to yourself. Of course, there's still the risk that you're giving your information to the Department of Homeland Security. While I'm speaking on that issue specifically, I have over the years consulted with many people who would have been protected for deportation if they had filed an initial DACA application. So with that in mind, I do encourage folks to apply for initial DACA applications if they're eligible. And of course, at this time, we're still hoping that USCIS will accept them as soon as we begin to flood the gates with the applications. So, so just a note on funding, we are still searching for it, but we are still able to complete the applications, both initial DACA applications and renewal DACA applications. We have a team of, we have a legal team that is on standby to help prepare those applications.
Vanessa, if I could also add real quickly, I've included the link to both the health program and the immigration services program. When you call, please make sure to leave a detailed message with a telephone number, and then we'll get back to you. But it's important for you to leave a message because unfortunately, missed calls aren't returned. And then also, I'm making special plugs for the health program, but anyone can schedule an appointment with the Immigration Services Department. It just so happens to be that if you're a student, staff, or faculty within the CSU or the CC systems, then we would refer you to the Higher Education Legal Services program. And then again, it's just a general consultation for both locations. And then we would kind of guide you through that process on whether there is a form of relief for DACA or whether there might be something else that you may be eligible for and possible next steps. And we continue to provide services.
Are free.
Real quickly,
Sorry,
yeah.
all consultations are free. Do not pay for a consultation. You can come receive one, speak to someone who is qualified. You do not have to pay money for a consultation. You can come to JFS. We will help you understand your legal position and legal rights.
Exactly.
We did have a question come through. Oh, I'm sorry, Haida. Please go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
We did have a question come through. Some folks are wondering, like, how do they avoid like scammers or just some of these things that unfortunately happen? If you all have any recommendations.
Yeah, that continues to be a problem, right? Typically, it's like the notarios, an individual who can not only fill out your applications, but cut your grass and wash your car afterwards, right? These individuals continue to impact the immigrant community negatively. And we see individuals from many, many years ago who received services from these individuals and are now trying to correct an error in their immigration process, and it's negatively impacted them. Again, seek out trusted legal service providers. JFS is here for the community, for all the community. You don't have to be Jewish, but we serve everyone, right? And you have to feel comfortable and knowing that you can trust the individual that you're seeking services from, because you're going to be sharing information that is private and it's confidential and it's personal, and maybe you haven't shared this information with family members and friends. So you need to have comfort in that person and you need to be able to trust them. And so doing a quick search online could be a decent way of finding out trusted legal service providers and private attorneys, but also check in with your college campus if you're a student, staff, or faculty perhaps, but also reach out to JFS and say, hey, maybe JFS isn't the place for me, but do you have someone else that you may recommend? And being able to choose individuals like that is really important, I think.
I know that culturally, Latinos tend to go with notarios in Mexico, Sudamerica, Central America, and we're used to that, and we can't do that here. We have to go with someone who knows, someone who's reputable, somebody with experience. I believe that most lawyers or folks will offer a consultation. I think it would be best for them to also, just like with anything shopping for a car, you want to go and check everybody's references. You want to check to make sure that the cost sounds right. Ask friends, ask families. You can consult with Jewish Family Services just to kind of get a comparison. And if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And if you're a lawyer, like I've had students and even family members who went with a lawyer, but they kind of forgot, I think that's when you really also have to know that you are empowered to make a complaint and also take your services, ask for copies, and walk out. You're paying for these folks to do this for you. So we really need to make sure that people are empowered, that you know that they cannot report you, and that you do have support in the community. So feel free to ask any of us. We'd be happy to refer you to someone.
And I also wanted to add that at the community college, so it could be any office, but the Dreamer centers or programs that serve our Dreamer, AB 540 undocumented, Daca, and mixed status families, we serve our community. So you don't have to be a student. So any questions that you may have, we can also serve as that link to any resources, whether that's on campus or off campus or at another college or university. Know that you can count on us and you can reach out to us, and we'll connect you to a trusted resource. And I think JFS now, so for those that are here, is spreading the word of Jewish Family Service. There's Alliance San Diego as well. There's different organizations in the community that can also refer you to other organizations and services.
Thank you, Leticia. I see Danielle. Yeah.
Yeah, Leticia, I want to offer the same support for the community who's joining us and anyone who watches the video. We're happy to answer questions. If they're not legal questions, we're happy to do the referrals to those trusted organizations. Something that Cynthia mentioned that I want to follow up on is when you're shopping around for an attorney or for the legal service, make sure you're not shopping around for just the attorney that gives you the answer that you want to listen to or that you want to hear. Some good attorneys will tell you, there's nothing that we can do for your case. And sometimes it's very unfortunate, but it may be better for you not to submit something that could get you in trouble. So keep that in mind. Do shop around, do reach out to us, reach out to JFS, and let us help you, let us get you connected to someone who's gonna give you an honest assessment of your case, of your family's case. And then something else that I wanted to say, that Jairo was talking about, the advocacy and empowering our community. Do that, but be careful, right? Particularly for our undocumented communities, if you're advocating, if you're involved in our community and you're out protesting, be really careful, be strategic. You don't want to be caught, you don't want to be arrested, you don't want to be detained, because that's going to potentially impact your immigration record. So be safe, be wise. I know in some cases immigration is also looking into our social media accounts, so be careful with what you're posting on there as well. These are things that unfortunately can come back to haunt you in the future as you're renewing your DACA, as you're adjusting your status to permanent residency or citizenship. So get involved, continue to advocate. We need that, but do it wisely, do it safe.
I just want to echo some things that Danielle said as well. It's very important that that you seek a consultation and that it's okay to shop around, and that you listen to what is being told to you, and that you don't take the advice if they're saying, oh yeah, everything looks amazing, this is going to be so easy, 100% we're going to be able to get you your green card. If it's too good to be true, it's definitely not true. Another thing is, I've had a lot of people come and consult with us at Jewish Family Service, and sometimes they're represented by attorneys, and they come because they feel like they're getting ripped off, and I'm able to explain to them that they are being ripped off, or that they're not being ripped off. So it's okay to get a consultation if you're already represented as well, if you're seeking to change your representation, or you're worried about whether or not you're being treated correctly or rightly. And that it's okay to seek multiple consultations from multiple people. That's totally fine. Do that. Do shop around. Get second opinions, please. I know, though, that it is stressful and it can wear on you going into those consultations. So you might want to schedule them at different times, or with a support network with you, someone who's close to you who can support you, that you're okay with them hearing everything and all of the facts of your case. Or at least if you're not, them to just be there to drop you off, or to be in the waiting room for you until you're done with the consultation. That can help you feel better to have the chance to hear everything that the trusted attorney or legal representative tells you in that consultation. I've sat in consultations where I've reached out to attorneys and called them out on their ripping people off. So if you find a good lawyer, then you'll be able to tell. Yeah, I think that's my last note. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. I did have a couple other questions, but also want to acknowledge we have about 15 minutes left. So a question that came through is, should Daca recipients apply for advanced parole?
So I'll touch on this. I touched on it briefly in my quick intro. Sorry, it was really fast. So yes, we believe that advanced parole is back on the table, meaning that since we've reverted back to pre-rescission, that all benefits under the initial Daca program that President Obama put in place in 2012 should be available at this time. But the second question is, should you file the advanced parole application? And then if it's approved, should you actually leave the country? So first of all, the advanced parole application is quite costly. It's $570. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. So it's quite a risk of loss of money if you file the application, and it does require quite a bit of evidence. Not all nonprofits do that application. We would be qualified to do that application, but we might not have the capacity to prepare that application. As well as, I wouldn't necessarily advise anyone to, if they received an approved advanced parole document, to leave the country at this point in time. So I would certainly advise someone to sit down and have a conversation, with their family and their support network to determine if they feel comfortable leaving the country, and then go back to the attorney and talk about it. But there is certainly and absolutely a risk that you could be outside of the country on this authorized advanced parole document that does, on its face, it's a full huge piece of paper that says you are authorized to re-enter the United States before a certain date in the future. However, if you read the small print on that document, it says the DHS can refuse to admit anyone into the country if they so choose. So it's up to that officer who is reviewing that document at that moment in time, when you come back to our borders and seek re-entry, to determine whether or not they will allow you back in. And if you leave the country and while you're gone, this administration seeks to rescind Daca again. And a part of the rescission is that anyone with advanced parole, it is the advanced parole is effectively ineffective at that moment in time. Then you will not be allowed re-entry, and you could possibly be stuck outside of the country without the ability to get back in, or without the ability to get back in without significant financial and legal costs to yourself. So I strongly advise that anyone seeking or thinking about advanced parole have lots of conversations with an attorney about it, with your family and friends, and wait in time possibly until at least after the elections to make that decision. Also, an advanced parole application back in the day took about 3 months to process anyways, so we're not that far off from being close to the elections by that point in time anyways. I would just advise you to wait until after the elections, honestly.
Thank you so much, Leah. I wanted to kind of ask Cynthia, could you share a little bit about the DREAM and the Promise Act?
Yes, thank you so much. So there is an opportunity for allies and undocumented folks as well to advocate. Back in 2001, and then it resurfaced again in 2010, there is a DREAM/Promise Act. It passed through the House. Unfortunately, the Senate, which is controlled by Republicans, has not passed this for a vote. And so this would have a pathway towards citizenship for folks. This would open up the opportunity not just for DACA folks, but also other folks with opportunities for, again, a pathway towards citizenship. So I'm going to put in the link, or excuse me, in the chat link, the information regarding the DREAM and Promise Act. There is a way where you can sign the petition for those who are allies, or for students or staff who are undocumented. You have family, you have colleagues, you have friends. All of these folks are people who are willing to advocate for you. So encourage them to sign this petition, encourage them to put pressure on their representatives. If you have familia in the states where these folks are kind of being held up, let's vote them out. This is an opportunity for folks to now make a huge transition and change in November with the opportunity of elections, both on the national and local level. We tend to forget about the local folks. Those who are running, how are they supporting our undocumented students? What are they doing? Not just talk, but how are they walking that talk? So I think it's important for folks to become aware of what is out there and continue to put pressure on our representatives, both locally and nationally, on this as well.
Thank you for sharing. I did have a question come up, a couple, and I acknowledge we have just a few minutes left. So is there any funding for DACA renewal / application for non-credit adult ed or continuing education students?
So I can answer that question. It'll depend on
Depende mucho.
So it would depend on the community college.
En lo de la comunidad,
the continuing ed is
especialmente.
Sorry, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Okay, I apologize. So I listed the community colleges, and by contacting the community college and that continuing ed, then they can gain insight on the type of resources, because a lot of times if there's no set funding as far as like grant available, there might be other scholarship opportunities or donations that have occurred like within that college. And then there's a lot of support within the districts. So I encourage anyone that is in continuing ed to contact their community college.
Thank you. And then kind of, I think our last and final question here, what can allies do before November to help support this community? I think you all mentioned a bit, but if there's anything in addition you'd like to add.
Put pressure on legislators, put pressure on local communities, align yourself with organizations such as Jewish Family Services to support the cause, get to know the students on your campus. There's ally trainings I'm sure that all of us offer to make sure that we're aware. Where you can, please donate so that we can support our students. I think that's one of the things that's often overlooked. Money does actually help cause. So we need folks to provide their services if they are able to, if they are therapists or can support in some capacity. Everybody can contribute in some minute way.
Jairo, I think I saw you unmute. I wondered if you had anything to add to that.
No, Cynthia said it. If you can, give more of your time. If you can't give of your time, give of your money. Many of us are in positions of privilege that can give a donation, whether it's to the community colleges, the universities, or whether it's a nonprofit org. Funding is always an issue, so doing those two things I think is important. And real quickly, a quick shout out to the interpreters and to las mamás y los papás who are listening in for their sons and daughters. Thank you for being here.
Beautiful. Yes, I appreciate. Oh, sorry, Leticia. Yeah, please go ahead.
To add is spreading the word. So there's so much support and resources within our higher education system, but also in our community. So if you know of someone that may benefit from this information, or please share it, because I think that's how a lot of times our community finds out about these opportunities and these resources, is through word of mouth or through information sharing via email or flyers or text. So please continue to share this information with someone you may know or that may benefit from this information.
All right. Go ahead, Danielle.
Yeah, so for me, I think the biggest thing that advocates can do is to open the space for students. It's something that I encourage our departments on campus to do, to look for ways to increase access to those programs. A lot of times what we're working with in our communities, not only in our colleges or in universities, are outdated systems that work for someone who's a U.S. citizen, that may work for someone who's a resident, but it definitely don't work for someone who's undocumented, and definitely not for someone who doesn't have DACA. So it's an opportunity for us to take a look at what programs we have and whether those programs are available and accessible to our undocumented students, and to encourage a change. If DACA continues, great. If we can move it into a permanent solution, great. But in the meantime, we need to make sure that those programs, those services are accessible to everyone, not just those who are citizens, not just those who are residents, and even not just those who are DACA recipients, but everyone who is in our communities.
Thank you all for your time, your energy, for donating your knowledge around this topic. So much appreciation for that. We have, so many resources that we've been putting in the chat box here and that we'd love to make available online. So unless we have any further last minute questions, we've got a couple minutes left. I just want to put a shout out if everyone, please feel free to share this. This has been recorded, so share it with your community and people that you know you feel like could benefit from this information, from this knowledge. Check out our website after this for all the resources that will be accessible to everyone. And again, just thank you all so much for being here, for coming and sharing your knowledge. You all want to say goodbye and unmute?
Yes, thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure. Hit us up. We're here to support you. We're here to support your communities. It's great. The panelists, the folks who are here are great people, amazing people that I've known for many years, and I can go on and on and on about the great things that they do. We all care about you, and we're here to support you. And it is truly an honor to be with all of you. And thank you for those who joined us today.
Everything that Danielle just said, like, exactly. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us today. Thank you to all of the panelists. You're all amazing, wonderful people, and I am truly honored to be able to sit here with everyone. And please schedule a consultation with a trusted attorney or legal representative, please.
Thank you, everyone. Gracias a todos. We're here to support you. Estamos aquí para servirlos. I look forward to continue working with you all, and then getting to know prospective students and our community members as well. So thank you.
Yes, please don't hesitate to reach out. Sometimes we're looking for you. We don't know how to reach out because your information is private at the campuses. So it takes that brave step for you to reach out to us so that we can connect you with all these wonderful people and resources. So please don't hesitate. Know that you are special, you are loved, you are cared for, and we are here because of you. We care. We want to make sure that we support you, so please don't hesitate.
Muchas gracias a todos. Fue un placer estar aquí con ustedes. Just remember, we're here to help. Reach out, take deep breaths, and we're always with you. So let's keep on moving forward.
Thank you everyone for being here. Sí se puede.
All right, y'all, we appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for our interpreters, everybody for their time, their energy. We are here with you. We're standing with you. Thank you.